Hi, I'm Abhishek and I'm the founder of Rara, a platform that lets you easily build games entirely on your phone. So today we're going to look at how we can create a simple dash mechanic. So right now we are in the voxel editor and I have my character on screen. Let's see what we can do with it. So we have a joystick, we can use it to move it around, and then we have this ability to jump. Let me just adjust the view so I have a little wider view of my world. That looks about good. And now let's think about how we can create this dash mechanic. So what we want to do is we want to first create a simple custom rule on this character. While I'm here, let's say that I don't want that the ability to attack, so I'm just going to get rid of the wield behavior and the shoot behavior. When I go back to play, you'll see that that button with the attack symbol on it has now disappeared. And I also don't want the ability to jump. I actually want to use this jump button to instead trigger the dash. So I'm just going to get rid of this as well. Now I can go in and I can add a new custom rule to create our dash mechanic. The first thing I want, I will name this rule, I'll call it dash. Let me just maybe create a simple parameter on it. And this parameter will be a float parameter. And I'm just going to name it speed, right? Or maybe actually to be more specific, dash speed. And let's just set that somewhere between 0 and 50. So that way I can easily set or modify the dash speed and tweak it depending on how I want. So now let's just go in and start creating. So I want this dash, as I mentioned, to trigger when we hit that button that was previously used for the jump. So the way I can do that, I can go into the when and add a condition. I can say when input, you'll see over here it says jump, is pressed, right? So when the jump button gets pressed, then we want to trigger the dash. So now to trigger the dash, the first thing that we want to do, we want the dash to trigger in the direction that the character is already facing. So I'm just going to go and first get the forward facing direction of the character. So I'm going to do current instance, and current instance obviously represents the character right now since I'm adding this rule on it. And I'm going to go to physics and say forward. Now this will now return the forward vector of the character and also store it automatically in a variable. So now the next thing that I want to do is I want to take that forward vector and I want to multiply it by whatever speed I am going to set as the dash speed. So I'm going to go over here and say get dash speed. That's the parameter. I'm just going to then multiply it by, as I said, this gets saved automatically in a variable, which is, since it's the first line, it is result of 1. Right, and now next what I want to do is I want to now move the character in that direction. So I'm going to go to current instance again, which represents the character, say physics move, and I want to move it in a certain direction, and I now want to move it in the direction that is this, right, which is the speed multiplied by the forward direction. So I'm going to now choose the second line, which is result of 2. And that's pretty much it. Now when I go back into the play, as I'm walking or running around, if I hit this, and that's pretty much it. So now if I go and play and I run around and I hit this, you'll see it kind of bumps. So the reason why it doesn't dash yet is because I forgot to adjust the dash speed. So I'm just going to actually increase the dash speed, which was the parameter that we set, maybe somewhere around like 40, and then go to play. And now let's see if it has a change. And there you see, my character is dashing every time I press the jump, or well, now the dash button. It would also be great to add some sort of feedback, like some sort of VFX or something, so that I know when the dash is being triggered, and we can actually like do that fairly easily. So first things first is, let's just add another object into the world, right? So I'm just going to add another object. Maybe I'll just pick this candy over here, and now let's see what actually happens. I'm going to pick this candy. I'm going to remove it. I don't want it to be a collectible, but rather I want it to have some health, right? So I'm going to set its health, and then I'm going to just set the health to 0. Now what this happens is, as soon as the game starts, this, since the health is 0, it is going to get destroyed and it's going to play a little kind of poof or explosion. And we can see that when I hit play. So you saw right over there, the candy, because its health is zero, essentially destroys itself and plays this little VFX. And I would like to use that VFX to essentially trigger whenever I hit the plus button. So the way I can do that is I can now just go back to the same rule, the dash rule that I was creating. And now I just want this candy to spawn a little bit behind me, right? And or maybe actually just exactly where I am. And then because its health is zero, it will destroy itself. And once it destroys itself, it's going to play that little smoke VFX and give the impression of a dash being happening. So I'm now going to say that, okay, where do I want this to spawn? So I want it to spawn at the current position of the player. So I'm just going to say current instance, which is my player, and get its position. And then I'm simply going to spawn that candy at that position. So I'm going to say game spawn. Now spawn takes two inputs. It takes a position where you want the object to be spawned and what object to spawn. So in this case, I want it to spawn at the current position, right? And you can see this is line number 4. So I want the result of 4. And then I can choose from the entity list. I can just choose this candy that I had previously created. Now when I go into play, as I kind of like run around, you see it creates this little puff of smoke, adding a lot to that feeling of a dash happening. And that's how you can easily build out a dash mechanic. You can obviously extend this to add in cooldowns or add in different speeds or add in different kind of like effects. But this is the basics to get you started. If you want access to the app, links are in the description, and don't forget to subscribe.